Alright, here we go. Alright, so I spent the evening getting my platform set up here so that I can come on and start doing some streams again. I'm going to close my office door. Alright, so I got the office set up here again so that I could start doing some streaming. I feel like it's time to come back and spend some time on here. And let's see here, I want to turn it down. I know there's a way I can turn down the fans on my computer because I can hear that background noise. I'll have to figure that out. So now's time for me to come back and do a little bit of streaming. Even if I just get one or two people viewing the stream, you know, whatever it may be, you know, just to start out. If there's someone I can help in any way, shape, or form, to me it's worth it. And I always enjoyed going back on the videos too and looking as my progression went on through trading. You know, my first year was a mix of you know, success, great success, and ultimately just huge failures and not knowing how to recover from a major loss. I know there's so many people this week especially probably that are dealing with major losses. Hold the line was everywhere on Twitter, on anything, Facebook. I mean, I don't use Facebook, but I mean, that was it. Everything was hold the line, right? That's all you heard. I mean, it was on TV. It was famous people, nobodies. I mean, it was just everywhere, right? Hold the line. What was hold the line? Hold the line was buy this crazy stock that's up a couple 100%. I mean, and buy it and hold it. I mean, that goes against everything that we learn as a trader, is to set your risk, right? Have some sort of a risk parameter. That's what's going to keep you in the game. So I feel like so many people got just a bad taste this week, or a bad start, or maybe this is the end of it for them, just because the first time they bought a stock was on some bad information from social media, and now they've lost, you know, a couple hundred or $1,000 because they were holding the line, right? You don't buy a stock that's 200% up and hold the line. And I don't blame anybody who didn't know any better, because how are you going to know better when all these people that look like professionals, you know, Elon Musk or these one percenters are saying hold the line? You know, what do they have to lose, right? But you got people who you know, maybe put their life savings or a big chunk of it into this stock that's all over TV, anywhere you look, and you know, hold the line, right? Buy it and hold on to it, and we're going to get rich. And if we don't get rich, we're teaching the system something, or we're breaking a hedge fund. I mean, I got news for you. The hedge funds aren't broken, right? Even if they took the hit, they'll come back. They'll be back. This game is and always will be rigged in the favor of the hedge funds and the Wall Street billionaires. That's just the game. That's just the way it works. So that being said, I decided it was time to come back and start doing a little bit of streaming here and there where I can. And maybe just going over a couple things, just some basics, give people a ground rule, a place to start, and share maybe some of my experiences and things that I went through, you know, after losing thousands and thousands of dollars, you know, and maybe some lessons I can pass along and maybe help one or two people, right? Because it's hard, right? Trading is hard. If it was easy, everybody would do it. I think prior to 2020, the statistic was 90% of traders fail, or 90% of traders, you know, lose. Okay. 2020 is probably the other way around, right? The 10% that knew how to do it in the past were getting their asses handed to them left and right because risk parameters and none of it made sense, right? The market was rewarding those with no skill or risk parameters that would just jump into a stock, buy it, hold it, and wake up the next day and there it is, and it's up. It's up 20%, it's up 30%, 50%, a couple 100% in some instances. So it's been an interesting time in these past couple of weeks. We're just the epitome of it, the craziness. We had two major stocks. One, that GameStop, GME, through the roof, a couple 100% from. Let's take a look at it. So let's take a look at GME. All right. So we got a stock that, let's see here. I mean, what, on the 12th? It was $20-something. And within what? So from the 22nd, right, the stock closed at $55. From then until the 28th, where it peaked out at about $470, $480. Imagine if you were, by this time, this is when it became popular. This is when it's all over TV. All right, this is where it's all over social media, and this is where Hold the Line became big. Right? Imagine the people that have bought at $350, $400, and then held the line. Right? That stock's now worth $89. It's terrible. It's not the first time this has happened, right? We can go back and look through other times, right? Tilray was one I remember that went crazy from the mid-20s up until about 300, peaked right at 300 and dropped. This was a little bit dirtier. I know there was some games played with brokers, particularly the free brokers, that locked people out from trading. And then, built their shorts, I'm sure, and made all the money back that they had lost on the way up. So, it was a dirty trick, but that's just the way the market runs, right? That's why we have halts, and you have a stock that starts running up. If it hits X amount of percent, depending on what time of day it is, right, it gets halted and to slow the momentum. So, there's always something to help out the big players that are in trouble, right? If you're short on a stock and it runs up and it halts, it gives you a time to get prepared on how to handle it once it's out of the halt, right? A lot of halts tend to act a certain type of way, especially on small cap stocks, once they reopen. And if you were short on the way up getting squeezed, once it runs into that halt, then you can prepare yourself on how to manage that once the stock opens back up. So, all right, so that's that. All right, so that being said, right, the plan here is to come on when I can. I'm going to do some pre-market stuff, go over some of the things that are moving, but, and hopefully also on Sundays, spend a little bit of time just going over some basics, right, giving people a foundation. Half of the people, half more, maybe 3/4, who knows how many exactly people even bought these stocks, I have no idea what a trend is or a moving average. I know guys at work that I work with that trade stocks, and they just, it's up this percent or down this percent. Never even looked at a chart. But in 2020 and the beginning of 2021 so far, that's worked. It's made money. But now we're starting to get into a different feel, a different momentum. The market's starting to shake itself out, and stocks are starting to react the way they did before, right? For example, today there was MBRX came out, had big news. Let's take a look at that one. All right, so MBRX, right? So this one had a big gap up on the first and kind of just hung out. Didn't really trade a ton of volume and stayed pretty steady. Well, then today opens up, right? And let's run it back a little bit. All right, so pre-market we run up to about $9.32. All right, and start pulling back. Market opens up, and here we go running back up again, almost towards the highs, and then we just drop off and never come back again, right? So buying this one and waiting and hoping wasn't going to work. It's just continued to drop from $7 down to $5.50, and that's what we're holding now. And even that's pretty solid. I remember just a year or two ago, you buy stuff, at something at $7 could easily end the day at $3. So, the market's starting to shake itself out, starting to find its way home, back to its mean, and I think there's going to be a lot of lessons learned. I think it's going to be tough for a lot of people, and I feel for them because I know how frustrating it is to work hard for something and just due to your own lack of knowledge of how the system works, on how the market really works, the money's taken away from you. But some people, right? A lot of people, well, let's say some people are going to find that there wasn't enough joy in it and they want to learn more about it, and they'll spend some time maybe looking on YouTube, looking into different types of chat rooms, just trying to learn more and gather some knowledge so that they can properly trade the markets. I believe there's a lot of great information you can find on YouTube. There's a very select few chat rooms out there that I think provide some sort of value. The Bullish Bears, which is where I started out, those guys, I think they genuinely try and teach a decent program. MIC, that's a pretty big one out there. I think Bao does a good job of trying to teach psychology and the mentality of trading. I think that's beneficial. So let me see. Not if it goes back up. It doesn't always go back up. Yeah, that's really disappointing. And that's, yeah, I understand. I've been there. I lost all my money. 2018, right? 17, 18, 2018. Yeah, 2018, July of 18. I was on a roll. I was on a hot streak. Things were going well. I remember I went to bed July 16th thinking, I'm never going to work again. This is the best thing ever. I wake up every morning, I get in front of the screens for an hour, click a couple buttons, I come out with a couple $100, and then I go live the rest of my day. That's how I went to bed on the 16th. And then, August 16th, 2018. 17th, I woke up and then learned that, they don't always bounce back. Right? So, that was it. From there, I took from the next couple months from that point, I just kind of unraveled my account, trying to make back what I had lost. Then I took pretty much a year off where I didn't trade at all. I just watched charts and learned what I could. And I took that time just to recover mentally, because every time I got in front of the screens and tried to trade again, it was instantly back to that, I got to make that money back. It's gone. How do I get it back, right? So I would size in, after not trading for a while, I'd size in heavy or do all sorts of dumb things just trying to make back the money that I had lost. So anyway, and that was a tough struggle, right? So 2020, last year, I started to, I left. I gave it up completely. I went back to work. I kept my eyes on the charts. I would record, whatever was hot for the day for a while, and I'd come back home, I'd watch it, 10 times the speed or what have you, and just trying to get an idea of how things are moving. And luckily for me, last year, I decided to just dip in my toes, right? I didn't really try to make money. My only goal was to trade well. And so, I ended up the year with a profitable number. It's nothing huge, right? Nothing compared to what I had lost. But, I did well. I traded well, and that was the goal, right? And now, here we are, 2021, and it's continuing to do that. I'm not putting big size on. I'm not trying to trade to make money. I'm just trying to trade to make good trades. And hopefully from that point, it'll step up. And I know it will. If you can make $10 a day, you can make $50 a day. If you can make $50 a day, you can make $100. If you can make $100, you can make $500, $500 to make $1,000. Right? It starts out slow. If I had $50, I wouldn't put it into any particular stock. Maybe I would look around for a chat room, right? Maybe Bullish Bears. Maybe MIC, someone that can give me a month or so of knowledge, and I learn where to put a little more money. once I had it. You know, there's nothing more humbling than not having to work, having the money, being able to trade, and then all of a sudden it's gone, right? One bad trade, two bad trades, whatever it is, and it's gone. And then having to start back over, go back to work. You know, after not working, if anyone hasn't worked for any specific, you know, any amount of time, any extended amount of time, for me it was almost a year of not having to work, and then go back to that, going to work every day, right? It's tough on your mind. It's a mind fuck. And I feel like there's people who just, you know, with AMC probably had made enough money where they made a couple years salary in a matter of days, and in 24 hours it was gone again. So you know, I get it, and I know there's so many people out there right now frustrated that, you know, they don't know what to do, right? You got this stock now that's essentially worthless. It's not coming back, right? It's not going to come back up. It's not going back to 300, 200. You know, there'll be some bounces, right? Little bounces here and there, but it's not going to come back. AMC's not coming back. You know, that's the reality of it. And again, I'm not a professional. I don't know these things to be true, right? The market does crazy things, but the reality is it's probably not going to come back. And anyone who bought up in those levels and were told to hold the line are now stuck with what I'm hoping for would be lost profits, but worst case scenario is lost savings, right? That would be, I mean, that's ultimately the worst thing. You know, if you made some money on the way up, right, and you doubled down a little bit, and then you lost it on the way back down, right, that's a lesson. But people were taking out mortgages on their homes and all sorts of crazy things and throwing it into these stocks at ungodly levels, and now it's gone, right? So, and I'm hoping we don't hear horror stories, right, of people who've, you know, I don't even want to think about it, right? I don't want to go to that point, but you know what happens when people lose everything in a short amount of time. Some people don't know how to handle that mentally, and bad things can happen. So, yeah, let's just hope not, right? Let's hope that, you know, it's a lesson for everybody, right? That had to go through it, and they can bounce back, right? Take the time, maybe learn a little bit about the markets, about how it works, and bounce back stronger, better, and make it all, you know, make all the money back again, right? Or you know, somewhat near it, right? It's not about making it all back in one shot too. It's about building a process that becomes a permanent source of income. Even if it's not a full-time job right away, even if it takes years to get to that point, you know, $100 a day makes a difference, right? If you can make $100 a day, you know, that's. I mean, I'm sure that's rent for a lot of people, right? And if you can make $100 a day, you can make 200. You make 200, you make 500. 500 makes 1,000. It just takes time to get to that point. And that's another thing. So Justin's talking about, you know, he had sold his position, and if he kept it in, it would have made more. That's another thing. Sometimes that fear, or not necessarily fear, right, but that going through that emotion of watching something happen after you pulled your money back or you changed your mind, right? I do it all the time. Right, my read on the markets is pretty good. Right, I bottom ticked the SPY the other day for a long, top ticked it short. You know, if you ever go on my Twitter, you'll see a lot of my charts. I post my charts. I tend to always get out of the move early, and sometimes that's just as difficult. Right, the pain is not as bad as losing money. Losing money sucks. There's nothing worse than losing money. It's just the most frustrating thing, especially if it's money you've worked for, all right? If it's gains, all right, then in this game, sometimes it just becomes points, right? It's, you make 100 points today, you lose 50 tomorrow, make 300 Wednesday, lose 30 Friday. Yeah, it's up and down, right? But when it's money you've worked for or saved for X amount of time and it's gone, that's really frustrating. But sometimes it's just a bed to watch. You were ready to make the money, you had everything in line, you saw the move coming, and you got yourself ready to go for it, and then the last minute, for whatever reason, you don't take the trade, you watch it go up a couple 100%, and maybe even people around you took the trade, right? A bunch of your coworkers take the trade, and they're all making money. That's a whole nother level of psychological fuckery that'll get in your head. So there's a lot of ups and downs with trading, but once it starts to click, I think that's the most rewarding factor, right? When you take the time and you put your time in and you start to see the results, right? It's not just you bought and held and all of a sudden made money, bought and held and lost money, right? But every day you do the same thing over and over and over and over again, and then you start to compound these small gains, and that's trading, right? And that's when it starts to feel good, is when you can get up, you wake up in the morning, you look at your scanners, start putting together a game plan, and then executing that plan when the bell rings every day, and just take those little pieces, right? Not those big home runs. They'll come. They're not every day, but there will be home runs. But on the average, it's just your little piece here and there every single day, but it's the same thing every day, and you're in and you're out. You're no risk on the table when you go to bed. You wake up and you do it again. That's trading, and that's when it really starts to feel good. So that's my goal here, is with this channel, bringing the channel back together, is to kind of go over my experiences, right, of everything I lost and what I've done to try and mentally get myself back up after losing, 80% of my life savings, my net worth, in a matter of a few days, right? It was tough, right? I remember sitting in a ball on my couch, not realizing what had just happened. Not understanding what had just happened. Like, it took a while for it to really hit that, I was on the computer, I pushed some buttons, and then my life savings was gone. I had to go out into the parking lot and go look at my car and my bike and know that it was time for them to go in order for me to pay rent and make it through Christmas, right? Because this had happened, in August, July and August into September was when I fully unwound my account, and I had to start giving things up and going back into, just to get my life back together, going back to work and not being in front of the screens, and it was a big adjustment mentally, and it took me almost, like I said, that was 2018. All of 2019, I pretty much just watched charts and just tried to get to know the market, tweaking the system that I had built, which now is working quite well. Right? So I hope to teach a little bit about building a system for yourself, right? Not my system, but how to build your own system that's going to help you gauge risk, take profits, and know ultimately whether or not it's a trade you want to take. So that's the goal with it. I plan to be on here a lot more often. Definitely on Sundays. We'll spend an hour on Sundays going over just basic charting and some basic research and different things you can use to gauge a trade on whether or not it's going to have the potential to pay you. So that's going to be the goal here, right? If I can help a couple people work back some of what was taken away this week and build themselves some confidence to get back into the market, that's my goal here. So I'm going to do what I can and give back to the trading community as much as I possibly can, right? It's been a huge piece of my life now for 4 years, and as long as I can remember, I've been watched charts or wanted to know about how to trade. So, and now it's been such a big part of my life, and I'm comfortable enough now where I can trade and kind of teach people a little bit about it, about setting yourself up to trade. So, all right, thanks for hanging out with me tonight. So I will be around, and you know, if you lost some money this week, you know, it's tough. I know it's tough, but it teaches you a lot. It's going to prepare you to really position yourself well in the market in the future, and you know, even when you don't make it all back, right? You know, once you start to see the progression towards where you can start to make a little bit of money, you won't worry about what you lost as much, because you'll know that, you know, in time it's going to be back. And it won't be back because of one trade or two trades of something that you just bought and held. It'll come back because you took the time to learn how to make a little bit of money compound into a lot of money. And that'll feel even better, because you'll know that that's something that can't be taken away in one trade. That can't be taken away just because the market decides to play a dirty game, because a broker decides to stop people from buying, because they halt the stock. It'll be because you know how to take little steps every single day to continue to build and grow your account, right? And that's yours, and you get to keep that. So, all right, cool. Thank you. Have a great night.